Hello, my name is Bob Church. As a career technical education teacher with nearly 30 years in a Vermont technical center, I offer my thoughts on S-257, specifically as the proposal relates to removing licensure requirements for those providing instruction at a Vermont career technical center. I'm attempting to condense a complicated issue into a short presentation. Please use the pause button on your browser as needed. Links to the material sources are included in the video description. Let's begin by reviewing the CTE mission. Developing our most valuable resource. Gain the skills, technical knowledge, academic foundation, and real-world experience. In review of nearly 30 years of 6-month and 3-year graduate follow-up, many of my automotive graduates have pursued further education and careers associated with the automotive industry. Others have utilized the electrical and mechanical knowledge and skills acquired in the program to begin successful careers in related areas, such as electrical and mechanical engineering, heating and ventilating, plumbing, industrial refrigeration, heavy equipment, and I even have a former graduate who recently graduated from Vermont Law School and is now a practicing attorney. Education through occupation, not for occupation. Let's listen to our esteemed governor describe his CTE experience.
I think we can all agree that teachers have had a tremendous impact on each and every one of us. When I was 11, my dad passed away from complications of injuries he suffered during World War II. That left my mom as a single mom with 3 rather rambunctious boys. I see my mom here in the audience tonight. But it was natural for us to look for role models along the way. And I was fortunate enough to have a role model at Spalding High School, my shop teacher, a guy named Richard Flies, who was from this area. He sparked my interest in the trades, something that has inspired me my whole entire life, and he treated me as though I was somebody special. In high school, I took college prep classes in the morning, vocational training in the afternoon. I was in machine trades, and then that led me to follow in the footsteps of my mentor, Dick Flies, and I received my teaching certification in industrial education at UVM. Did my student teaching at U32 and then decided not to pursue that, and life again took another turn, and I went into business. I went into the family construction business.
Fortunate enough to have a master teacher. Life took another turn. Important quotes to remember. This is the bill as written. How will this bill eliminating requirements ensure our children are fortunate enough to have good teachers and role models? How will eliminating requirements ensure students are prepared to navigate the turns in their lives? These quotes by Dr. Charles A. Prosier, considered by many to be the father of vocational education, gives an historical perspective. Industry masters lead. Outcomes are dependent on it. This being said, finding industry folks willing to leave industry and enter the teaching ranks is a national challenge. An advanced CTE national study outlines the challenges. There are many barriers. As noted in the studies, no one solution. As noted, teacher salaries compared to those in industry are often much lower. Options often noted in the studies. Obviously, we have limited options to partnering with community colleges. Let me take a minute to show where I see challenges for CTE with Vermont's current flexible pathways initiatives. Obviously, CTE teachers currently need to hold licensure. Vermont State Board rules for CTE also provide other guidance, such as specific learning targets required for academic credit. Work-based learning. The flexible pathways work-based learning process appears to have eliminated many of the checks and balances. Little oversight in measuring outcomes. Nothing to ensure parity with the CTE pathway. Doesn't even require a background check. And to top it off, this flexible path has little cost to a district as compared to the CTE tuition. I have had students who did not return to complete my program. They stayed at their sending school and worked with a local employer. Personally, I would not have a problem with this if the student was required to demonstrate the same criteria to earn the academic credit as a CTE student. While I assume the Technical Directors Association will expand on the data contained in the next few slides, I would like to provide a teacher's perspective. I would also suggest folks on the committee reach out and speak to a few of the 33 mentees that were unable to transition into teaching and hear firsthand of the challenges. I question the praxis data, as it would appear low based on the comments I've heard from mentees and others serving as building level mentors. I do know there have been questions raised on the value of the praxis, and there are some nationally who see potential issues associated with cultural biases with the praxis. Note the variations by tech center. Burlington has had a near-perfect success rate. However, I assume, as with national data, the type of CTE program influences a mentee's success. A medical instructor as compared to a welding instructor. Personally, I have seen many who began their teaching career leave over frustration and feeling as a second-class citizen for the path they took in developing their knowledge and technical skills. As we move forward with proficiency-based learning, it will be critical to ensure parity in educational experiences, outcomes, and evidence required to demonstrate proficiency. This will take collaboration with our post-secondary institutions to ensure these individual paths to knowledge are equally recognized. Bottom line, changing or eliminating CTE licensing requirements will further diminish the CTE pathway. As with Vermont, Colorado has adopted a proficiency-based model, and also, like Vermont, have given local districts freedom and control in implementing their programs. However, to ensure inter-rater reliability, students select from a menu of assessment and evidence criteria to demonstrate knowledge and skills. I show this menu as food for thought moving forward with proficiency-based learning, and as an example for developing a menu of options as a solution to the single praxis component. Personally, I do not support having each technical center develop their own individual process. Has the proposed NEASC alternative been scrutinized for comparability, rigor, and appropriateness? In my opinion, there needs to be one standard process across the state to ensure all students are fortunate enough to have a quality teacher. Earlier, I mentioned reaching out to mentees who were unable to transition. These images are of a young woman who has given me permission to tell her story with an attempted transition from industry to education. She was encouraged to take a career technical center program in high school. After successfully completing the secondary program, she continued her education at an out-of-state technical college. Upon graduating, she began her career in the automotive collision industry. This slide represents an excerpt of an email sent to an HR director where she declined a position to teach in a Vermont career center. As noted in the research, some states are attempting to address the salary issues. Under the leadership of Dr. Marcia Baker in 1992, after having experienced a difficult time hiring and retaining qualified industry professionals willing to transition into teaching, provisions were added to Burlington's collective bargaining agreement. Dr. Mark Aliquo was the CTE director on record when further provisions were added to ensure those retiring could be replaced with master-level industry personnel. In my opinion, we need to have uniform licensing standards to ensure all our children are fortunate enough to have a good teacher and good role model. Questions for the committee to consider while debating this proposal. One final thought. Outside of this hastily developed presentation, what other testimony from folks in the field is being considered? I'd be remiss not to close without a quote from Vermont's most renowned educator and philosopher. Obviously, complex issues face our state. Thank you all for your service to Vermont, and thanks for listening.